So we have successfully completed agriculture. Can we revise quickly what is point number 4, point number 5, point number 6? What is point number 5? Issues relating to direct and indirect farm subsidies and minimum support price. Then PDS, objectives, functioning, limitations, revamping, and issues of buffer stock and food security. Then investment models, and technology missions, and finally economics of animal rearing. What is point number 6? Point number 6 is food processing and related industries, scope and significance, location, upstream downstream requirements, supply chain management. What is point number 4? Major crops, cropping patterns in various parts of the country. Then different types of irrigation systems, storage, transport, marketing, and e-technology in the aid of farmers. Yes or no? So I want to take you through agriculture and food management chapter of economic survey of current year, which you don't have to remember anything because you have to read the next year's. But let us see whether we understand everything or not, right? See, this is the chapter. I'll just go to read mode. This is the chapter agriculture and food management. Read this and let me know whether you understand this or not. Read this entire paragraph, take your time, read this and tell me whether you understand this or no. This is your main statistics. Try to read this. Market reforms, food processing, exactly the thing we study. I told you during COVID we gave double the entitlement we gave. So more 80 crore people were given these grains. So under the scheme called Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. So more over and above the NFSA requirements of 5 kg per person per month. Did we do this yesterday? Plus we also gave some migrants who were not eligible under NFSA. They were not eligible under NFSA due to some reason. But we also gave them additional food grains of 5 kg per person per month for 4 months, May to August last year. Did you understand this? This was the introduction to the chapter. Okay. See this, the national lockdown coincided with the commencement of the harvesting season for the Rabi crops, which is around March. Creating further adversity for the sector. Can we tell how much percentage of workforce is dependent on agriculture? Do we know that? We have read it just now. How much? 54.6%, very important. ठीक है, can we tell how much contribution is done to the country's GVA by agriculture? 17%. Do we know agricultural growth rate for last year? 4%. You should write these three statistics down, because next year these will be repeated 100%, but when you practice your mains answers before the next year's economic survey comes up, you can use these statistics. These statistics won't change much. So I'll show you once again. You can write these statistics, the three statistics which I told you, this. So this is also an exercise in note making. You don't have to write the entire sentences. Show me how you can write within 10 words. That is how that is the trick. So you can write agriculture, make one arrow, workforce 50 kitna hai? 54.6%. Then GVA contribution 17.8%. Growth 3.4%. Simple. 5 words mein ho gaya. Why to write full sentences? But also remember that this is not only agriculture but also agriculture and allied sectors. What do you mean by allied sectors? Animal husbandry. Exactly syllabus wise milta hai economic survey, and this is government document. That is why I love it. So see, you are in foundation batch, you are giving next year's exam. Do not go for economic survey summaries. You can watch videos of anyone. I will be recording some videos of next year's survey. Santosh sir might record some videos if I am not available. You can watch videos, but always refer to the bare document. That will give you the context. This summary is very important, because in some in ready-made class summaries, coaching class summaries, that is their interpretation of what is important, what is not. You might find something else important, so they might skip this because this is known to everyone, but we should write this also, right? So I hope you have written this. 54.6%. Please do not use full sentences. Try to make it shorter. Try to use arrows, and in minimum possible space, minimum possible words, try to write it. In exam, you don't have to make arrows and all, definitely. But the lesser bulky your notes, the more inclined you are to revise it. If your notes are very bulky, then you will postpone revision. That is a very psychological thing. We all do that. Procrastination is directly proportional to the amount of work we have to do. Okay? Growth rate of 3.4%, we know that. These are the things which we did during lockdown, major announcements and all. Okay, you don't have to read this now. I'll just take you through few of them. Agri Infra Fund, 1 lakh crore Agri Infra Fund. So what I'll do is, I'll do one thing. I'll send across this chapter also to you. If you find something important, note it down. At least write these things, or you can take a printout of this page only and attach it in your notes, so that your notes are ready. Whatever we are doing in the class, I will send across the material to you. Now if you feel it is important, and I have marked this also, so that is marking bhi hai to grab your attention. See, 1 lakh crores Agri Infra Fund for funding agricultural infrastructure projects. ठीक है, warehousing, storage, etc. 1 lakh crores fund hai uska. Did we speak about this yesterday? I told you there is a small scheme called formalization of micro food processing enterprises, 10,000 crores. No need to remember the amount exactly, but major amounts you should remember. 1 lakh crores you should remember. This is fine. This you should remember. Did we do this yesterday? At least the mention of this Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. See the aim. It aims at integrated, sustainable and inclusive development of marine and inland fisheries. I told you there are two types of fisheries: coastal fisheries or marine fisheries, and inland fisheries or riverine fisheries, by developing infrastructure such as fishing harbors, cold chain markets, etc. So anyone, if you want to write mains answer for this, this is the ready-made introduction given. That is how smart work is to be done. See, government words if you use, you will get maximum marks. It aims at integrated, sustainable, inclusive development of fisheries. Who will write this? Okay, government has written this. You have to write this. You have to read this. Okay, National Animal Disease Control Program. Did we do this? Foot and mouth disease ban, brucellosis. Yes or no? Vaccination of cattle, buffalo, sheep, goat. Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund. What was that first one? Agri Infra Fund. This is animal husbandry. Do you know what is animal husbandry? Allied activities. To support private investment in what? Dairy processing, value addition and improved cattle feed infrastructure. Did we cover most of these things, at least in discussions? From top to total. Remember Operation Greens, run by Ministry of Food Processing and Industries, to be extended from tomatoes, onion and potatoes to all fruits and vegetables. Reforms in Essential Commodities Act, we have done this. Agriculture marketing, we have done this. Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, we saw in the beginning only. One Nation, One Ration Card, we saw this. Yes or no? Enable migrant workers and their family members to access PDS benefits from any fair price shop in the country. So this page, at least this page you should keep in your notes. This is very important page. This page, keep in your notes. It's very good. And we have discussed this. I hope it is clear. Overview of agriculture sector, gross value added 17%. This is important. See this. Total 17% we know is the share of agriculture in country's GVA. See, there are three sectors in the country: primary, secondary and tertiary. Agriculture, processing sector, manufacturing, industry sector, tertiary, service sector. So primary ka contribution is 17.1% to the total GDP, all goods and services. उसमें से 17.1% is contributed by agriculture. How many people are employed in agriculture? Abhi we saw. How much? 54%. So 54% people employed in agriculture and 17% only contribution is coming. This is the biggest problem of agriculture sector. Do you realize 54% people are working but output is only 17%. So what is to be done? Agri output has to be increased or people have to be reduced? People have to be reduced. So as and when country progresses, industrial sector develops, then service sector will develop. We'll discuss all that in industry. So out of this, crops 10%, livestock 5% and forestry, fishing and all is 1%. Did you understand this? Share of agriculture has declined since last year, 18.2% say 17%. Why it has declined? See this, what I have underlined. Inevitable outcome of a development process in which the relative performance of non-agri sectors become more dominant. As other sectors increase, your agricultural performance will come down. It's a good thing. But the bad thing is that people are still 54% people are employed there. वो भी कम होना चाहिए. That also should be reduced. Growth in agri allied, ठीक है. Gross capital formation. Gross capital formation is what? C plus I, C or I or G or X minus M? I. It is capital formation. It is I, investment. Okay? So gross capital formation is around 15 to 16%. How much crops did we produce? 297 million tons. We produced 297 million tons. Rice कितना है? 120 million tons and 110 million tons is wheat. Rice is more than wheat, marginal amount. ठीक है, I'll be sending across this. इसमें marking है, सब कुछ है. What about other crops? Which is highest? Nutri and coarse cereals. कितना है? 48 approximately. What is green? Cotton. It is 38. What is 33? Oil seeds. And last में pulses. No need to remember the statistics. Only the total amount should be remembered. How much it is? 297 million tons. ठीक है, ये सब repeat होगा next year भी, don't worry. But this is just we preparing earlier than when these documents are released. So this is the ranking I have given. Highest is 1, cotton is 2nd, 3rd is oil seeds, 4th is pulses. Agri credit. What is agri credit? Loan given to agricultural activities. Uska target is 13,50,000 crores. Target of agri credit. And next year target 2021 target is 15 lakh crores. Now this is a problem. See this. Remember inputs mein we saw credit was one of the input, money was one of the input. The problem with credit is this also. Regional distribution of agricultural credit has however been skewed in favor of southern region. So most of the credit, most of the money from banks flows to southern states, southern region. See this green wala jo hai na, southern states. Why? Because they are more educated, because they know of the government schemes and all. Northeastern region में बहुत कम है, very less. See, during the year 2021, total disbursement as on 30th November, the share of southern region was more than 40%, while less than 2% in the northeastern region. Why? Because total cultivable area in northeastern region is only 2% of the total area of the country. GCA is gross cropped area. You will learn that in NCERT what is GCA. And in northeastern region, community ownership of land is prevalent, which means सब साथ में है, हम साथ साथ है types. So access of credit becomes difficult, and also there the knowledge about these schemes is very low. That point is not mentioned here, but it was mentioned 2 years ago in the survey. So reasons change होते रहते, but ठीक है, this is fine. Agri infra fund. Did we see agri infra fund? 1 lakh crores वाला जो है वो. How much is animal husbandry infra fund का outlay? 15,000 crores. We have seen that in the page. See, ये सब ना एकदम immediately pick up होना चाहिए. Right? You are seeing one lecture per day. You should pick up these things. 1 lakh crores is agri infra fund. 15,000 crores is animal husbandry infrastructure fund. How much is the total share of agriculture in GV of the country? 17%. ठीक है? How much is the contribution of crops in GVA of 17%? How much is the contribution of crops? 10%. 9.4, 10%. How much is animal husbandry? 5%. And then rest of them are other fisheries and all those things. 1% each. Agri infra fund के बारे में दिया है. What this 1 lakh crore will be used for what? For creation of farm gate infrastructure. Now see this term. It's a beautiful term. Instead of writing only infrastructure for farmers, you should use the term farm gate infrastructure for farmers in mains. This is where you get marks. This is where your quality improves. Instead of using the term infrastructure, normal infrastructure, use the term farm gate infrastructure. I'll be sending this across. You give it a read by yourself also. You know, in this way we can be prepared for the next year's survey. So when you read this before next year's survey comes, you know what to expect in the agriculture chapter. ठीक है? 1 lakh crore agricultural infra fund for creation of farm gate infrastructure for farmers. Accordingly, central sector scheme. What do you mean by central sector scheme? Center state sharing or only center? Only center. Central sector scheme. 9th August 2020. Scheme is operational for 10 years, 2021 to 29-30. Scheme provides for what? Medium to long term financing. See, I'll tell you how prelims question will be asked. Schemes provides for short term to medium term debt financing facility. Is it right? No, it is medium to long term. Whatever I have underlined, whatever I have circled, you have to pay extra attention there. Medium to long term debt financing facility for investment in viable projects for post harvest management infrastructure and community farming assets. So nice language. 1 lakh crore will be provided by whom? Banks and financial institutions as loans. To whom? Remember, PACs, PSEs, primary agricultural credit societies, marketing societies, FPOs, SHGs, farmers, joint liability groups. So what is JLG? Forget it. Multi-purpose cooperative societies, entrepreneurs, startups, central state agencies. Did I tell you what is interest subvention? Did we do that yesterday? I had told you what is interest subvention. It is discount. Interest discount. We'll have interest discount of 3% up to limit of 2 crores, which means if bank is giving that loan to someone else at 10%, it will give it to farmers at 7%, not 3%. 3% is a discount. Interest subvention है वो. ठीक है, बाकी तो ठीक है. What about trade? How are we faring on the trade part? We exported to USA, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Nepal. Top agricultural exports were marine products, basmati rice, buffalo meat, I told you. beef में we are quite ahead. Spices, non-basmati rice, cotton, raw cotton, oil meals, sugar, castor oil, tea. Overall, out of agricultural trade, we account for 2.5% only. So if agricultural trade is of 100 crore rupees, we are having only 2.5 crore worth of share in the agricultural trade. Is this clear? Since economic reforms began, India has remained a next net exporter of agri products. I told you we became surplus due to green revolution and all. The share of marine products in total export has remained the largest over the period. ये share है. You can just read through it. No need to remember anything. This is too much in depth. MSP. See, हमारे लिए बना है chapter. For us only this chapter is written. Bajra, urad, tur, maize. So see what they have done is, I'll tell you the analysis they have done is, this is the cost, this is the MSP, and the red line shows the profit. So which crop is showing maximum profit for the farmers? Which crop is showing maximum profit for the farmers? Bajra. Maximum profit. Okay. Do you remember I had told you MSP is how much times of cost? Remember I had told you 1.5 times of cost is given as MSP, 1.5 times, which means 50% over cost. तो minimum 50% profit तो होगा ही सबका. ठीक है? For most of the crops 50% तो is minimum, because MSP is set in such a manner कि cost पे 50%, 1.5 times of cost is given as MSP, right? So what do you think would be the reason for high profit in Bajra? What do you think? बाजरा में हाई प्रॉफिट क्यों हुआ होगा? बाजरा में हाई प्रॉफिट इसीलिए हुआ होगा बिकॉज द प्रोक्योरमेंट वुड बी डन by private people who must have paid higher prices than MSP. So MSP is always 1.5 times of cost, but if you are selling it to someone who is procuring it as at let's say 300 rupees instead of 100 rupees, so आपका profit will increase. So but see the unfortunate scenario, in most of the cases it is just 50%, which means procurement is done at MSP. And I told you it is minimum support price, but now it has ultimately become maximum price. This is reflected from this chart. ठीक है? Same goes for rabi crops, wheat, mustard, lentil. So इसमें if you see, we got the information about kharif crops and rabi crops also. These are all kharif crops. Prelims questions is asked, which of the following are kharif crops, which of the following are rabi crops. This is a part of geography. It is not a part of economics, but still this gives us information. These are all kharif crops. Paddy, which is rice, jawar, bajra, ragi, maize, tur, moong, urad, cotton, groundnut, sunflower, soybean, sesame, niger seed. These are all kharif crops. You can by heart them if you want. And what about rabi crops? These are rabi crops. Wheat, barley, gram, masoor, mustard, safflower, not sunflower, safflower. Okay, different है. Sir, क्या difference है? Please, I am not in agriculture. Sorry, I am not in geography now. If I was teaching geography, I would have told you. Crop insurance. Did we know Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana? Yes, it covers the entire cropping cycle from pre-sowing to post-harvest. Pre-sowing, sowing के भी पहले से, after harvest storage also, everything is covered under this. So at any time farmer faces a loss, covered. Voluntary for all farmers है. PM Kisan scheme. This is a very important scheme, PM Kisan scheme. It is a direct income scheme. So remember green box and amber box subsidies. Green box subsidies are those you give direct money to the farmers, let them do whatever they want. This is an example of that. PM Kisan scheme, Kisan Samman Nidhi. इसके बारे में दिया हुआ है. Income support to all landholder farmer families. Do you see the problem in this? Do you see the problem in this sentence? Was launched in 2019. The scheme was launched in 2019 to provide income support to whom? Provide income support to all landholder farmer families. What is the problem with this? Landholder farmer families. Those who don't have land, unka kya? With cultivable land, under the scheme 6,000 per year is released in installments, 3 installments, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000 ऐसा. ठीक है, they get. This is a direct income support scheme. This is a green box subsidy. This is not an amber box subsidy because this is not tied to production levels, not tied to your input levels, not tied to your pricing. This is just given directly. You enjoy whatever you want to do, you do. Let us come to allied sectors. क्या है? Animal husbandry, dairying and fisheries. Right? India continues to be the largest producer of milk in the world. We have seen this. Thoda analysis is given, urban rural differences and all of that. Now it is not relevant. Next year when it will come, read this. But I see, if you really want to score very high in GS3, I would suggest at least 2 chapters you should read from current year survey, which is agriculture, and iska next chapter, which is infrastructure, which we have already seen. Okay, infrastructure chapter and agriculture chapter you should cover this year also and next year's latest also, right? And next year ka to survey anyways you are going to read it fully, plus these 2 chapters from current year. So what happens is, see, they cannot write everything in agriculture chapter. They will write some points this year, some points next year, some more points uske baad. So you know, if I tell you 2016-17 ke economic survey mein completely different points were there. The points which I discussed to you about water use efficiency, precision agriculture, remember? Drip irrigation, micro irrigation, all of those things. They were discussed in 2-3 years ago ka economic survey. In detail they were discussed. But this year they have not, because limited space, limited pages. So they keep on changing the points. So now we cannot read 5 years economic survey or 5 chapters. That is not required. Cost benefit is too low. So yes, these 2 chapters of current year and the complete economic survey of the coming year. Itna kar lo, more than enough. So they have given variability in milk production and per capita availability. Livestock population, egg production. Egg production mein India ranks 3rd. ठीक है? 5th in meat production. Recent initiatives क्या लिया है? See this. This is a major issue which happened only during lockdown. What have they written here? What is happening here? Do you realize what is happening here? क्या बोला है? Cooperative societies, not the housing cooperative societies. Always keep in mind, cooperative is not only housing cooperatives. There are banking cooperatives, cooperative banks, there are cooperatives. So Amul is the biggest cooperative, I told you. So as per their mandate, they cannot refuse supply of milk from farmers. So when tea stalls and sweet shops, the biggest consumers of milk, है ना, milk sweets बनते हैं, teas also require milk. When they stopped their business due to COVID lockdown, farmers had no one to sell their milk to, so they turned to cooperatives. Now cooperatives were forced to buy the milk from farmers. अब इतनी milk का करेंगे क्या? What would we do of so much milk? So they started converting into milk powder. I hope you know what is milk powder and white butter, right? But due to this, so much of money was spent by cooperatives, one in procurement and second in conversion activities. So they had problems maintaining their cash flow, their incomes, right? Liquidity problems. So steps were taken, interest subvention was given. Do we know Kisan credit card? Have we seen Kisan credit card? In Feb 2020, livestock sector was also included in Kisan Credit Card, which means milk producers are also eligible to get Kisan Credit Card. Not only agricultural crop growers, etc. Milk producers were also eligible to get Kisan Credit Card. See, 15,000 crores हमने बात की थी Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Fund. How much was the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund? 1 lakh crores. How much is Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Fund? 15,000 crores. ठीक है? They have written the objective. This fund will incent. What was the objective of Agricultural Infra Fund? Do we remember? Farm gate infrastructure, medium to long term. Remember all these keywords. Farm gate infrastructure, very nice keyword. इसका क्या है? Individual entrepreneurs, incentivize investments by individual entrepreneurs, private companies including MSME. What is MSME? Micro, small and medium enterprises. MSME is micro, small and medium enterprises. Okay, we have seen that in industry infrastructure chapter, MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises. Farm producer organization, section 8 companies, forget it. Interest subvention मिलता है. Do we know National Animal Disease Control Program, FMD, brucellosis? Fisheries, second largest, कितना? 8%, 7.58% of the global production of fisheries is done here. How much share do we have in agricultural trade? World agricultural trade में इंडिया का 2.5%. ठीक है, 2.5%. Fisheries में we have 7.8%. Overall agriculture में we have 2.5%. We have these new funds. See, these are all old things. October 2018 में हुआ है. Fisheries Infrastructure Development Fund, FIDF, 7522 crores. Kisan credit cards have been issued to fishers and fish farmers also. प्रधानमंत्री मत्स्य संपदा योजना का डेटा दिया हुआ है. Aims to enhance fish production, fish export, etc. Doubling of fish farmers' income. I told you yesterday. These are the main objectives. You will cover this in schemes. Because if we go to cover each and everything, तो बहुत time लग जाएगा, right? Agricultural research and education. This forms part of dash. Remember I told you extra things which we do for farmers and all, they are called what? Agriculture extension activities. Extension is very important. Agriculture extension activities. So agricultural research and education is here. So fortified varieties. Remember I told you fortification. Integrated farming system. Mains question tha na. We saw what are the benefits of integrated farming system, IFS. See this. I always tell you things are asked from economic survey. So do not skip economic survey. Do not read summary of economic survey. Read the entire survey. Not everything is important. If you want next year's survey, I will mark and give also. Read that also. But at least have the entire survey with you as reference. Okay. Council has developed 60 location specific, cost effective, eco-friendly, socially acceptable, multi-enterprise integrated farming system models in farmers participatory mode to reduce risk in farming, enhance farm productivity, profitability, secure livelihoods of resource poor, small and marginal farmers. Bio-intensive cropping systems have higher productivity. So all these are very good languages there. Climate resilient technologies, क्या है? KVK Krishi Vigyan Kendras, we also, I told you about that. Mechanization and crop residue management. This you have to go for environment. This is an environmental point. This is not, मतलब agri में ही है, but environment part है. So what happens is, when harvesting is done, when crops are harvested, crops are cut for further storage and sale. जो roots होते हैं ना, roots, they remain. Small stems remain in the soil. Now, because you don't pull out the crops, now you cut the crops. So when you cut the crops, थोड़ा थोड़ा तो बचेगा. I hope you are getting this. Ground में, this is the ground, this is the crop. Now if you cut it here, इतना बचेगा ना. This तो you will take and sell and all. But ये जो छोटा 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 बच रहा है, that is called as stubble. ठीक है, STUBBLE. That is called as stubble. It is an environment thing. It is not an economic thing. Now before next season का sowing, what happens? You cannot sow with this in soil, so they burn this. Literally burn कर देते. They burn this. बिकॉज जो एश बचता है एनीवेज इट इज प्रोडक्टिव, एश हैज ऑर्गेनिक कंटेंट, वो सॉइल में मिक्स हो जाता है एंड देन दे सोव इट. द प्रॉब्लम लाइज व्हेन दे बर्न दिस, pollution happens, and this happens majorly in Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and UP. Why? Because we are surrounded by Himalayas, we don't have oceans along the sides, so the smoke gets locked in these areas and then we have pollution in these areas. Then we have global warming in these areas. Stubble burning is a big problem. So people from Punjab, if they burn stubble, people from Haryana and Chandigarh cry foul ki their air is coming here, what they are burning there. Read about stubble burning. ठीक है. So this is, they are talking about crop residue management. The crop, this is known as residue ना, ये बचा हुआ ये crop residue हो गया ना. So उसका management. This is an environmental thing you will read in environment. So I'm not going much there. Food processing, अरे सब कुछ है इधर. Excellent. Growth rate of 10%. Growth rate, हाँ. Please keep your eyes, ears, brain open when you are reading statistics. It is growth rate. It is not contribution to GVA. So एकदम randomly कोई भी figure नहीं बोलने का. ठीक है. How much is the contribution of crops in total in total GVA? Crops 9-10%. How much is the percentage of workforce in agriculture? 54%. How much is the contribution of fisheries in total GVA? 1%. Small, वो last में देखा था. ठीक है. So this is the growth rate. How much is agriculture growing at? 3-4%, 3.4%, right? How much is the contribution of total agriculture in GVA? 17%. How much is the outlay agriculture infrastructure, animal husbandry infrastructure development fund? 15,000 crores. And agriculture was 1 lakh crores. Okay, this is how you revise, this is how you remember. Once you remember, you never forget. See, normally what I do is in my economic survey lectures, we by heart all these things. Ki khatam hi karo, tomorrow write UPSC exam. But since we are not doing economic survey now, this is not an economic survey lecture. The point of this lecture or the point of this session is to take you through it. Ki, is there anything you don't understand? Very few things hongi jo you don't understand. But is it readable? And this is the highest level of document you are going to read in your UPSC preparation in economics. इससे ऊपर का कुछ नहीं है. In your GS2 and GS4 ARC recommendations, Administrative Reforms Committee recommendations, that is the highest document you will ever read in GS2 and GS4. ठीक है? So can you understand what is written if you read this paragraph? चलो read this paragraph and tell me you understand or not. Agricultural growth rate is 3%, we know. How much is manufacturing growth rate? 8%. So अभी दोनों सेक्टर का पता चल गया. Sir, what about service sector? Service sector के लिए भी अलग चैप्टर है in economic survey. I will show you the index of survey. You tell me whether you understand the meaning or not. ठीक है? चलो. The sector constitutes 9% of the GVA in what? In agriculture? नहीं. In manufacturing. This is processing. So that is where MCQs में wrong हो जाता है. Food processing contributes to agriculture. No, it does not. It contributes to manufacturing. It's a part of manufacturing. वही चीज ग्राफ में दी हुई है. New initiatives, formalization of micro food processing industries. We saw 10,000 crores है उसका. Did we discuss one district, one product also? I told you one district, they are focusing on one product. Support for common infrastructure and branding and marketing would be for that product. We have discussed branding, marketing is required, storage is required, support is required. सब कुछ पढ़ा है हमने. The specifics of the scheme is given. You can read that, self-explanatory. Did we do Operation Greens? It's a central sector scheme. It means what? 100% by central government. This scheme is not meant for intervention in market during price rise. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि प्राइस राइज होगा तो सप्लाई बढ़ाना चाहिए. दिस इज फॉर प्रोसेसिंग एक्चुअली. दिस स्कीम फॉर्म्स पार्ट ऑफ अ लार्जर स्कीम. यस और नो? Which larger scheme? We discussed a scheme yesterday in food processing. Only one major scheme we discussed. Big scheme. उसमें eight things were there. First was mega food parks. Then cold chain, then preservation, then appraisal, quality, human resources, etc. etc. 8 was Operation Greens. Remember 8th was Operation Green last month. What was the name of the scheme? Hint, it is very similar to the fishing scheme which we saw. What is the name of the fishing scheme which we saw? Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. What is the name of this scheme? Pradhan Mantri Sampada Yojana. Sampada is older. Matsya Sampada Yojana came last year, 2020. There is a provision for 50% subsidy on cost of transportation and storage for evacuation of surplus production from producing area to consumption area, consumption center during the glut situation. Glut means excess supply. ठीक है? PLI scheme we have seen in infrastructure sector, at least the introduction. See this. जो हम पढ़ते वही है. संपदा योजना, remember? Various components, mega food parks, cold chain, infrastructure, backward forward linkage, food processing, preservation, Operation Greens. So they have not mentioned all of them. Some of them they have just skipped ऐसा. So 6. Remember Operation Greens and mega food parks. We have done the diagram also mega food parks ka. See how many mega food parks are there. Mega food parks मैंने आपको बताया था 20, around 20 are there in 10 states. I had told you. Number of completed operational projects 21 है. Cold chain 210. You don't need to remember all of these things. The only thing is you have to see क्या क्या है, what all is there. See food management. Now PDS के ऊपर बात करेंगे ये लोग. Food management, buffer stock and all they will speak about. Do you understand all these all these points? Tell me. First point. Did you understand how does it protect the interest of farmers? Because higher procurement, higher remuneration to farmers. Second point. Decentralized procurement means state have been given the power to procure. Decentralized. लिखा हुआ है आगे. Third point. We spoke about strategic reserves also. Reserve stock in buffer stock wala lecture. Fourth point. OMSs, did we speak about this? Bracket में domestic लिखा है because OMS is also done for exports. You can liquidate your stock in export market also. How does it check inflation in food market? How does it reduce the inflation in food market? It is increasing the supply, na? When supply is increased, prices will come down. 4 main points and we understand everything. Agriculture we have covered very nicely, है ना? Procurement of food grains के बारे में बोला है. How much government has procured over the last 5 years? Procurements of coarse grains has increased drastically over the last 5 years. This arrow is made by me, not by survey. See, procurement of coarse cereals, coarse grains, कितना बढ़ गया ना अचानक? You know why the coarse grain cereals procurement has increased? One reason is obviously because we want to encourage coarse grains. Second reason is that the buffer stock which we keep, उसमें food grains and cereals का ज़्यादा share है, coarse grains is less. So to maintain more buffer stock, we had to ramp up our production, procurement. Okay, that is also one of the reasons. Allocation of food grains. Outflow कहाँ हुआ है? Do you think NFSA is outflow? Allocation under NFSA is an outflow. This new scheme was introduced for lockdown, first lockdown के time. So that is also an outflow. ठीक है? Remember TPDS? Targeted PDS we done in AAY, Annadata, Anna Yojana and priority households. Okay, sir, what is priority households? You will read, you will come to know. Same 5 kg. See this, a beautiful chart. Allocation under various schemes. So total outflow ka allocation is given. So allocation is under NFSA. What is this? Did we do this? See, I have not taught you from the survey. I have taught you from my own notes. But I told you that you will read the survey, you will come to know everything. And I was not lying. Do you know ICDS, mid day meal scheme, integrated child development scheme and NFSA? ये पूरा allocation is under that. 63% allocation is under that. What is green? The latest scheme, the temporary scheme, Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, because stranded migrants were there and extra food was given to others also. Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme के अंदर भी some percentage is given, not festival natural calamity में थोड़ा दिया होगा during Diwali and all. Government gives free food grains to poor people and all, and other welfare scheme. This is not relevant at all. Two things are relevant, 63 and 34. ठीक है? Fortification of rice. Do you know fortification? To address the issue of anemia and micronutrient deficiency. Did we not do exactly as it is? And trust me, before teaching you, I had not seen the survey for a long time. So ऐसा नहीं कि इसमें का ही मैंने बोला, ऐसा नहीं है. But this is what appears in newspapers and this is what appears in survey, and that is what you have to do. One nation, one ration card. Did we do this? DBT we have discussed. We have discussed DBT in buffer stock lecture. Direct benefit transfer, how does DBT work and all. Open market sales scheme, domestic. Food Corporation of India, on the instructions of government, sells excess stocks out of the central pool through open market sales scheme in the open market from time to time and predetermined prices. Okay. Food subsidy. Read this. चलो यार, अभी तो बस हो गया. Read this and tell me. Read this paragraph 7.53 and tell me whether you understand it or not. We started at 9:30. Is it not what we studied? Difference between economic cost and issue price is food subsidy. See this issue. I told you it has not been revised. 3 to 1 per kg है. Forget the figures, ignore the figures. समझा? So this is what I had done for my other students, this year students. This chart if you make in the mains answer, then you'll get a lot of marks. Central issue price of wheat is 200, economic cost is 2600 per quintal. So food subsidy is 2400 per quintal. Same goes for rice. Just to show the magnitude. Simplify किया है मैंने उसको. This is what we'll be doing next year for you also, don't worry. If this analysis is given, if some new analysis is given, then we'll do that. Okay, not necessarily a same analysis would be given. Storage, एक syllabus point है ये. Don't you realize? Did we do PEG, private entrepreneurship guarantee? Did we do central warehousing corporation? Yes or no? सब same है यार. See this CWC, Central Warehousing Corporation. This mainly comes in your environment, ethanol and all. Right? So basically what are we doing is petrol and diesel are polluting because air में pollution है. So when you mix it with ethanol, when you mix petrol with ethanol, ethanol is a fuel, is a green fuel. When you mix it, वो pollution less हो जाता है. But at the same time, efficiency also reduces a bit. So that is why we have kept some targets. Government has set 10% blending target for mixing ethanol with petrol by 2022 and 20% by 2030. With a view to achieve these blending targets, government is encouraging sugar mills and molasses-based standalone distilleries through various financial assistance to enhance their ethanol distillation capacity. So this is actually geography में भी आता है ये. How is ethanol produced? It is produced using sugar waste, molasses and all. Remember sugarcane waste जो बचा हुआ रहता है, molasses and all. उससे ethanol is produced. So they are encouraging sugar mills to produce ethanol. When they produce ethanol, that will be mixed with petrol, and then pollution will be reduced. Ethanol blending of petrol बोलते हैं. The program is called as EBP, Ethanol Blending of Petrol Program. You will read all this. इसमें don't worry कि ये नहीं आता है. अभी आएगा तो फिर अभी एग्जाम लिखो ना. Then why are you waiting for next year? अभी ये सब कुछ आ जाएगा तो. Recent agricultural reforms. These are the 3 acts which we spoke about: Farmer Produce Trade and Commerce Act, Farmers Empowerment and Protection Act, Contract Farming, remember I told you, and Essential Commodities Amendment Act. ठीक है, benefits of the farm reforms are given. एक मिनट. Issues are given. You should read this. I will give you this as homework. You should read this. You will understand this 100%. Okay, don't read much in detail. Don't try to remember anything apart from the statistics that we have discussed, 5-6 statistics. Otherwise, don't try to remember anything. Just read and try to understand. That is the objective here, because next year's economic survey anyways you want to remember everything what is mentioned in the survey, right? CMS Swaminathan and all, we have discussed all these things. Itna samjha kya? Did you understand this? Now let me take you to the index and let us see whether we understand the index of survey or not. I am just preparing you for the survey. See this. First chapter to chhod do, because pandemic and all is there. Fiscal development, fiscal situation and response to COVID pandemic, reforms in tax administration, trends in government finances, center, states and general government. General government is total, center plus states. External sector. What about external sector? Balance of payments. Did we do balance of payments? Yes. Global environment, development in India's balance of payments, initiatives taken by government to boost exports, India's engagement with WTO. Yes or no? Did we do? Are you understanding what they are talking about at least? अंदर पता नहीं क्या है. Monetary management and financial intermediation. They are talking about monetary policy here. Monetary development, liquidity conditions and its management, developments in GSEC. What is GSEC? Government securities, banking sector, monetary policy transmission. I hope. NBFC sector, non-banking financial sector, development in capital markets, we have done this. Investment by FPI, we have done this. Foreign portfolio investors in markets chapter. Movement of Indian benchmark indices. Remember benchmarks, external benchmarks, financial benchmarks, India Limited, etc. Insurance sector, pension sector, insolvency and bankruptcy code. We have not done this because this is not that required. So itna important nahi hai ye, but insolvency and bankruptcy code we have done. Yes. Prices and inflation. Current trends in inflation. Yes. Do we know what is base effect? Inflation trend, momentum, and momentum means ki how, where prices are going, at what speed they are rising, and base effect. The drivers of inflation. What drives inflation? What causes inflation? Demand side factors, supply side factors. We have seen all of them. Inflation in states mein kya haal hai? Which measure of inflation reflected economic activity better? WPI, CPI, PPI. Remember, these are measures of inflation. Inflation expectations. आगे जाके क्या होने वाला है? What about global commodity prices? What about regulation of drug prices? Because drug inflation is also there, medicine inflation. Because of COVID, we realized that so many drugs were black marketed and sold at higher prices. Do you know? Rifampicin and all those drugs, you know, they were black marketed. Black fungus drugs were also costlier. NHB Residex, we have spoken about this. Residential index, houses ka price ka index, NHB Residex. How to control inflation, and conclusion. Yes or no? Next. पूरा environment, completely environment based sustainable development and climate change. This is GS3 environment simple. Next we did just this agriculture, food management, industry infrastructure we have did, trends in industrial sector. See sector wise initiatives and issues. मतलब mains के लिए they have given us on a platter कि this is the sector, these are the issues, these are the initiatives and infrastructure. So these two chapters, chapter number 7 and chapter number 8, you have to do it for this year's survey. These chapters I will be sending it across and next year तो पूरा cover हो ही जाएगा. Is it clear? आगे बढ़ते हैं. So can I say this is primary sector and this is manufacturing sector? Can I say this is manufacturing secondary sector? What about this? Tertiary sector, services, performance, major performance and policies. Social infrastructure, GS2 social justice, employment, human development, social infrastructure, पूरा social justice में आता है. The economic aspect of employment is there in economics, but social aspect of employment is there in social justice. ठीक है, 10 हो गया. Done. This is survey part 2. Always remember this is survey part 2. There are 2 parts of the survey. This is part 2. Part 1 also has 10 chapters. Part 1 is more related with new ideas in economics. Part 2 is more related with our syllabus. Part 2 is more important to our syllabus. Part 1 is little bit lesser important than our syllabus. Did you understand everything? Did you see the index? Did you feel happy after seeing the index ki many things you are able to realize ki what does it mean? क्या मतलब है इसका? समझा? You know in infrastructure chapter they speak about build, operate, transfer also, hybrid annuity model also. Have you heard these terms in investment models? Remember hybrid annuity, mix of BOT and EPC, engineering, procurement, construction. ठीक है? I hope you are feeling happy and satisfied कि within one lecture per day के हिसाब से 40-45 lectures we are able to understand whatever government is trying to say regarding economics. Yes or no? ठीक है? Feeling good कि WTO, balance of payments, monetary policy transmission, banking, we know so many things now, right? This is how you study, but the key is revision. Unless you revise, things won't work out, right? So let us start with a new syllabus point. जो एक remaining point है, which we have not touched at all, which is point number 7. What is point number 7? Land reforms in India. ठीक है? Can we recollect what is point 7? Land reforms in India. What is land reforms in India? Land reforms in India. Let us see some past questions relating to land reforms in India. कि क्या पूछते हैं land reforms में? I told you this is a mix of your economics and agriculture. Hence we are doing it at last. I hope you have that page ready where you have syllabus point numbers and question numbers. We will see some questions of land reforms. पहले क्या है वो तो देखे. See, till date in the last 8 years, 4 questions are asked on land reforms. So land reforms is not much of an important topic. If a question comes, you write. If it doesn't come, forget it. ठीक है? Land reforms in India. Question number 2016, question number 9. 2016, question number 9. Read the question. Okay, so I know you don't know anything about land reforms in India now, but it's a fairly static question. Identify the factors that were responsible for success of land reforms in India. Now, land reforms in India का success पूछा है. Tomorrow they can ask failures also, because no policy is 100% successful or 100% failure. So we should prepare both successes and failures of land reforms. Yes or no? Right? Write this 2016 question number 9 in your point 7, land reforms in India. Okay. Next, 2015 Question number 3. So I told you this is a mix of agri and economics. So दोनों पे कुछ है. Now in this case agriculture is asked, है ना? Role of land reforms in agri development. Tomorrow they will ask role of land reforms in economic development. They can ask. 2015 question number 3. अरे see this. You will be able to answer 70% of the question now also. Read the question. Do we know the meaning of declining average size of land holdings? Fragmentation of land is happening. Do we know contract farming? Land leasing is nothing but giving land on rent. Land leasing, lease pe lena, lease is rent. Okay. So this is again a mix of agriculture and land reforms. So write this in your point 7, 2015 question 3. Easy question hai. If you read the survey and newspapers, this question becomes very easy. If you rely only on classes, notes and material, clearing mains is very difficult because everyone is reading the same notes, everyone will write the same points, right? So our Telegram group has a lot of good articles. I post only those articles which are extremely relevant for UPSC, not other knowledge ke liye, gyan ke liye articles I don't post. So keep on reading, and if you feel you don't understand any article, reread it again, and then you can ask me also. But read all the articles which I post. They are very important, and take notes also. ऐसा नहीं कि read करके छोड़ दिया. Take 2-3 pointers from every article. It will help you. I also tell the syllabus point ki where it is relevant and all. ठीक है? समझा ये? Now I am not even explaining the question because I am hoping now you are able to self-read the question, self-read the analysis कि क्या करना चाहिए, how much marks, etc. Next question, 2014 question 5. I don't like this paper, 2014. Question 5. This is core land reform question. So we are yet to cover it. This is economics. Now just for a moment, what year is mentioned here? 13-14. This is 2014 question. So 100% current affairs. It was not asked randomly. It is a current affair question. So obviously whenever a new act is passed, what are the issues in the act? What are the benefits of the act? What are the features of the act? What issues does it address? Why the act was needed? The need of the act, etc. is given here. What implications would it have on industrialization and agriculture in India? Simple. Industrialization, economics, agriculture. So now you don't have any idea, I know, because this was old current. We'll discuss about this act in brief. But old current, but write 2014 question 5 in point 7. Okay. Next, 2013 question 8. कहाँ गया? See this. Again, mix of economy and agriculture. Poverty comes in economic sphere and agriculture productivity. What are they asking again? Agricultural productivity and how to raise income. वही पूछा है ना? Elimination of poverty मतलब. In agriculture area, they ask only two types: how to raise agricultural productivity and how to improve income of people who are involved in activity, either reduce poverty or increase income, whatever. Agriculture friendly land reforms in India. We'll discuss land reforms in detail. It will take half an hour minimum to jayega in land reforms. Which one is this? 2013 question 8. I hope you have written this. It's a 10 marker. Okay. So what I'll do is land reforms mein na, let us start with land reforms. What I will do is, the approach we have for land reforms, see, these are the topics which you might not find in books, might be there, might not be there, but notes have to be prepared. Two pages ka notes to chahiye, 2-3 pages maximum, so that you are able to revise it before mains. What we will do is, we will prepare notes only in the class. Whatever extra information you read from books, from newspapers, etc., you add it there. Okay? Now, land reforms in India is divided into 3 parts. See, unfortunately, the syllabus is such that I can't help it. See this. GS1, modern history. GS1, post-independence history. Post-independence consolidation and reorganization within the country is the syllabus point. So I am just writing post-independence. The full syllabus point is post-independence consolidation and reorganization within the country. This is GS1. Land reforms. GS2, pressure groups वाला जो syllabus point है ना, pressure groups. Farmers are also pressure groups. They exert pressure on the government. And social justice. Your point number 11, 12, 13, 14. GS3, simple, economy and agri. Specific to point 7. Okay? So your land reforms notes has to be a combination of all these 3 things. Your answer has to be dominantly this, then this. Okay? Then these 2. But if you are asked land reforms, you can be asked land reforms in GS1. Sir, land reforms is not mentioned in GS1. It is mentioned by some other name, not in syllabus, but in modern history. You can be asked land revenue settlement systems. What were the land revenue settlement systems imposed by British in India? Land reforms पे question है वो, but history question है. So you have to write historical British angle, not current angle. इसमें majorly current angle है. So historical angle is covered here, social angle is covered here, and economic agri angle is covered here. Do you understand? This is how syllabus points have to be studied, and this nobody will tell you. Very few people will tell you. नहीं तो क्या है, हाँ GS3 land reforms चलो पढ़ो, हो गया खत्म. But you require data from this, you require data from this, you require data from this, and then you are able to write good quality answers. Right? चलो land reform suppose आ गया. In your GS3 question comes कि trace the evolution of land reforms in India since independence. क्या करोगे? You need to know this history. Post independence very important. समझा what I am trying to say? So let us begin with land reforms in India. क्या लगता है? What do you think when you see these 2 words, land and reforms? What do you think? When you see these 2 words, what do you think? Land and reforms. क्या मतलब है इसका? Land में there are some reforms you are trying to make. So is it actually increasing the productivity of the land and using good fertilizers, or it is actually relating to laws surrounding land? What do you think? Laws, rules and regulations surrounding land. So reforms of laws, rules and regulations surrounding land. right? Reforms of laws, rules and regulations surrounding land are land reforms. Simple way mein I am writing, very simple, easy to understand. Right? So see, I am doing you so much of a favor कि I will write some history points also here. आपका notes तैयार ही हो जाएगा. चलेगा? Would you like it? I can't hear you because you are there and I am here. So sorry. ठीक है? So let us start with land tenure systems in. So before that, who are the players in land reforms? Who are the players? Who are the players in land reforms? Is state a player? State means government. Is government a player? Yes. So players, if I सबसे ऊपर कौन? State. When I say state, I am not distinguishing it from center. I am saying state means state controlled means government controlled. You know, you should know that this word is used in both contexts, in center state context as well as state as an overall government concept. Do you know even countries are called states in international world? Even countries are called states. So policies of Indian state are not good for the business. ऐसा बोला जाता है, which means policy of India are not good. Wherever this is capital, na, it is used as a country. ठीक है? हाँ. Who is there below state in land reforms? कौन आता है state के नीचे? Owner, land owner. Who comes below owner in land? Land, एक land पे और किसका हक होता है below the owner? Tenant, rent पे दिया है तो, ठीक है? Tenant, yes or no? Sometimes he might give it on rent to someone else also. Subtenant बोलते हैं उसको. Do you know subtenancy is also allowed? So the one who has on rent also gives further on rent. It is okay. If the owner allows, then there is no problem. ठीक है? So let us call him superior tenant. He will give to inferior tenant, yes or no? और कौन है? We are talking about land reforms, mainly we are talking about agriculture, mainly. So think, कि now you are an inferior tenant, you have got land on rent from someone who has got land on rent from the owner, who has got land from the government. ठीक है? Now what will you do? You have a big land. Will you farm on your own or will you keep people there? If you are not interested in farming, you can give land on rent to farmers also. ठीक है? Okay? So we should call them as sharecroppers. Nothing but farmers. You might yourself be a sharecropper or you might keep sharecroppers. Do you think that sharecropper will do all work on his own or he will keep laborers? Labor होगा. Landless laborers. These are the players. समझा? State, owner, superior, inferior, sharecroppers, landless laborers. Who do you think is the most exploited? Landless laborers. Can they get money on their land? Who has the ownership papers or not ownership papers? Who has some right over the land? Up to here, some right over the land है. इनके पास कुछ भी नहीं होता है. ठीक है? We'll come back to this screen again. Now let us go to history. I'm not going to explain the situations, the analysis, etc. I'll just make notes ready for you. When you read history, you will realize what I'm talking about, okay? And by the time you see this lecture, you must have already read that much of history. So, uska tension nahi hai. Right? So let us speak about land tenure system in British India. लैंड टेन्योर सिस्टम इन ब्रिटिश इंडिया के बारे में हम बात करेंगे. So what were the land laws in British India? Basically they are asking what were the land laws in British India, right? So I hope you know there were three main systems. There was Zamindari, Mahalwari and Riotwari. What are the difference between them? Zamindar was given the duty to collect rent from the sharecroppers and give it to the government. So there was a middleman. Riotwari mein the government used to collect rent directly from the sharecroppers. They were known as riots. Mahals were villages, collective groups of villages and collective groups of farmers. They were called as mahals. So instead of having one middleman called Zamindar who will have land, mahals were groups of villages and government used to collect them from them directly. So basically Riotwari is individual, Mahalwari is collective and Zamindar is one middleman covering everyone. ठीक है, brief introduction, history lecture नहीं है ये, so I'm not getting into the details and differences of all those things. ठीक है, so first one, I hope you have read this, I hope you have heard this, is permanent settlement system. Have you heard this? History है, so I'm not explaining. Permanent settlement. This permanent settlement was basically nothing but zamindari. Was prevalent in Bengal and Bihar. Tabhi Bengal and Bihar were the, you can say, capitals of India, pseudo capitals of India. Delhi and all before 1911, Delhi had no significance in British tenure. Obviously, it was very significant in Mughal times, and that is why Delhi is still the capital of India. Because, and you know why? Because वो northwest से आते हैं, and Delhi is the first place where you actually get to meet all the rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Agra side पे, and then Delhi में काफी access है from south also, from eastern side also, and from northwest also. So all those invaders who came from Greek, Persia, Iran, Persia is Iran only, and from all these countries, when they came, when Mughals came from Morocco, from Afghanistan, from other countries, they settled in Delhi. Reason being that one, it is very fertile, surrounding में rivers है. Second, ऊपर से nobody can attack because there are Himalayas here, so we are protected via Himalayas. And third, you can easily go towards south to conquer. So Delhi is a place of strategic importance. And then when British came via sea route. So उनके लिए Mumbai and Bengal were the most important things. Delhi, they did not have anything to do with Delhi, right? When protests started happening, 1857 revolt हुआ, then there were various revolts, Home Rule League movement, Home Rule League के पहले थोड़ा, then there was August Declaration, so many things happened, and 1911 में finally to avoid that Swadeshi movement which started in 1905, उसका जो impact and all, I'm not getting into the details. Then Swadeshi movement के response में they said कि okay, we will move our capital to Delhi to pacify the people of India. So from Bengal, the capital was shifted to Delhi. You know, even RBI was initially hosted in Kolkata. Then it was shifted to Mumbai. RBI's headquarters is in Mumbai. RBI and SEBI, two regulators' headquarters are in Mumbai. Very few regulators का headquarters is in Mumbai, but RBI and SEBI headquarters are in Mumbai. बाकी सब तो mostly government Delhi में ही है, but Mumbai में these two financial hub है, so it makes sense to keep them in Mumbai rather than Delhi. ठीक है, so permanent settlement Bengal and Bihar. 793 में स्टार्ट हुआ, 793 में स्टार्ट हुआ by Cornwallis. So you have to read about this in history. I'm not even explaining this. Then comes Riotwari. Riots were mostly southern states. Ryotwari system was mostly in southern states. This is given in your NCERT, 8th standard NCERT R Pass 3. 8th standard NCERT में ये दिया हुआ है Ryotwari. Madras, Bombay and Assam. MBA. Madras, Bombay, Assam. Thomas Munro and Alexander Reed. Munro plus Reed. इन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस किया, इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन 1822 and further modified in 1835. ठीक है, what happened in 1822, why it happened, not my problem. I'm teaching economics. Thomas Munro and Alexander Reed. This was Cornwallis plus John Shore also. Cornwallis plus John Shore. Third, Mahalwari. Mahalwari system. North India mainly. Gangetic provinces. Gangetic Valley, Punjab. Northwest India. The group of villages was called Mahals. Mackenzie, 1822, same year as introduction of Ryotwari. So you know NCERT में इतना अच्छे से दिया हुआ है. They have mentioned कि when Mahalwari was introduced in North India, Ryotwari was being introduced in South India. 1822, given by John Mackenzie. Holt Mackenzie, sorry. You have to read about them. These systems. More relevant for history, but ठीक है. Northwest India, Punjab, Gangetic Valley, Holt Mackenzie, land tenure system of British India. Okay. Now, what do you think are the consequences of these things? क्या लगता है? What do you think are the consequences of these systems? क्या हुआ होगा? Land became a property now. See, what Britishers did is they took away the land from rich landowners, and then they started giving land to those people who will earn revenue on that land and give the share to the British. ठीक है? So I will give you land, but it is your responsibility to earn revenue and give me one share of it. Whatever, 50%, 40%, जितना भी है. ठीक है? Then only I will give you the ownership of the land. That was zamindari system. ठीक है? There is no middleman, but those who have their land, those who are the landowners, if you are collecting directly from them, Ryotwari system. Ryots, the ones who were growing. And third thing, if there is a collective thing, government will collect land tax के form में. Basically, it is taxation. So land became a property now. Earlier, land was never seen as a separate property. Now we see land as a property. अरे land खरीद लो, land invest कर लो. This is all British colonial legacy. Before that, land was never seen as a property. Land was seen basically as a source of production, not as a property. Now people invest in land for investment. है ना? Earlier, land was invested only for building houses and growing crops, not for trading purposes. कि अरे I have bought it at 1 lakh, tomorrow I will sell it at 3 lakh. ऐसा कोई नहीं करता. Land became a property due to Britishers. So let's say, so tell me one thing. Madhya Pradesh में property would, Deccan Traps में property would be more costlier or Gangetic Valley में? Gangetic Valley में. Why? Because it is capable of producing more crops. It is fertile. Soil अच्छा है. Black soil, alluvial soil. River flow is perennial. So land became a property now. Right? Who suffered at the end? Sharecropper. Did I tell you Britishers forced farmers to grow cash crops? You know this. Cash crops started. What do you think happened to the productivity of the land? Went up or went down? Went down. Food insecurity हुआ या security हुआ? Insecurity, rice wheat not grown anymore. Food insecurity. Earlier Panchayat used to have a lot of respect. Now Panchayat lost respect because Britishers are there. right? Canals were irrigated, canals were constructed. Yesterday in last lecture we did canal irrigation. Britishers constructed canals. Yes or no? All these are consequences of British tenure systems. What about loan of farmers? Did they have less loan or more loan? Due to British, they had lots of loan, indebted farmers. They used to take lot of loan because आधा share तो government is taking. I am doing full मेहनत for entire year, half share government is taking. I need loan for further survival. Indebtedness हो गया. Labor culture became prevalent. See, earlier there was less labor culture. Now labor culture became prevalent. See, I'll tell you why. These people are not interested in farming. Earlier, the ones who had land were actually farmers. They actually used to farm. These people, because of British, see, they say कि British anyways is going to take money from me. Might as well, I don't do any earning. I will employ people. They will give me ready-made. Uska half I will give to British. Rest I will keep and I'll give them basic salaries. So, due to Britishers, labor culture became prevalent. Labor culture, keep people for working. Earlier, they used to be seen as associates in production. Now they came to be seen as labor. You work under me. Why? Because these were getting the same treatment from owners, and owner was getting the same treatment from state. So if British is subjecting you to slavery, you will subject your underling to slavery. वही होता है, बॉस हम पे डांटता है, हम जूनियर को डांटते हैं, सिंपल, right? So the labor culture became prevalent, बहुत ज़्यादा. It is called as serfdom, SERF. Serfdom. This is a history term. There are two types of labor systems: serfdom and fiefdoms. ठीक है, world history में है ये सब. When you study world history, read this. Right? So let us skip history for now. Let us come to independence. History में क्या हुआ? You will learn in history. Let us come to independence. Status at the time of independence. क्या है status at the time of independence? See, not surprisingly, 7% people people, 75% fertile land. %48 tenants, subtenants, 25% fertile land. What about the rest? %45 rest were laborers, farm laborers. This was the situation at the time of independence. You can write it later. When you get the PPT, you can write it later. 7% rich zamindar, 75% fertile land, 48% tenants, subtenants, 25% fertile land, and rest 45 were landless laborers. These were landless laborers. Huh? So now what is the priority of government? What is the... Achha, in this, who are actually farmers? These are the actual farmers. These are mere oppressors. Actual farmers ये है, ठीक है? Is zamindar a middleman between government and land tenants? Zamindar is a middleman appointed by the government. So the first step, the very first step when we attained independence was Abolishment of zamindari, abolishment of intermediaries. Khatam, finish. First step that we took was abolition of zamindari and intermediaries. Very first step we took was abolition of intermediaries and zamindars. Very important second step. This is very important. Second step, land ceiling. Since independence, land ceiling. Land ceiling matlab kya? What do you mean by land ceiling? Means these people can hold only limited land, not unlimited land. Ceiling laga di. So suppose one person here has 300 acres of land and land ceiling is only, let's say, 50 acres, suppose. What about 250 acres? Kya hoga? It will go to the government. And what will government do? Because they are the actual farmers, na? Sons of soil. Are you getting this? Land ceiling was made for what? Redistribution of surplus. Redistributing surplus land. Third step, very important. Tenancy reforms. See, do you think entire surplus land would be able to be given to laborers? Kam to padega. Some laborers might work as tenants also. Rent pe leke, there is no harm in this. Tenancy reforms. You cannot increase rent arbitrarily. Landholders used to increase rent arbitrarily. Nowadays also you see complaints. Fixed deposit, security deposit वापस नहीं दिया. So many things between tenant and landholder or owner. Tenancy reforms aims at protecting both the interest of tenant as well as the interest of landholder or owner. You must have seen flat khali nahi karte. You know, even after giving up, especially government flats, they don't empty. In Nayak movie also it was shown. One Sardarji is staying at a flat and Anil Kapoor goes to his house and say ki, you know, aapka to 2 years pehle you have to empty the flat. Remember? Tenancy reforms, protecting the interest of both. See, tenancy reforms are always protecting the interest of both. But it is protecting from unfair means. Hai na? So tenant is almost always oppressed and hence he needs or he gets more protection in tenancy reform. This we are speaking about independence to 70s and 80s. This. So let me write it here. This we are speaking about 1947 to 1970s. These three major land reforms were made. Did you understand why are we imposing ceiling? Why are we imposing ceiling? Because land is needed to them. They are growing. They are growing crops. These guys are not interested in growing crops. So the ones who are growing crops, unko land do so that food security is maintained. Yes or no? Population is growing. Diseases are growing. People need food. India-Pakistan separation ho gaya, displacement ho gaya. People are staying without homes on roads and all. Don't you think you need food? PDS ke liye you need food. Where would food come from? Farmers. But farmers don't have lands. They are oppressed. They are given meager wages. Government said, take land from them, give them. Abhi samjha why land ceiling is so important? Land ceiling means the richer people have a fixed limit beyond which they cannot own any land. So if they have any land, that will be forcefully taken by the government. Sometimes compensation would be given, sometimes compensation would not be given, depending on the case to case. Most of the times compensation was given. ठीक है कि हाँ, you take money, you give us your land, we will accumulate the land and we will give to whom? Sharecroppers, farmers. But still, if some remain, or if someone wants to, instead of ownership, someone wants to take land on rent and do farming, you can do that. For that, we are also giving you protection in the form of, ये क्या हो गया है? We are giving you protection in the form of tenancy reforms. समझा? Is this clear? Land ceiling, tenancy reforms, abolition of zamindari and intermediaries. 3 major steps we took since independence. Yes or no? By heart ही होना चाहिए ये. ठीक है? Now, see this, so you can study in history what were the characteristics of zamindari, intermediaries and all. We'll speak about land ceiling now. कि exactly क्या-क्या हुआ? Was it successful? Was it not successful? Remember the question was कि how has land ceiling contributed to the productivity of agriculture in India? These are the types of questions which are asked. So let us see land ceiling. Land ceiling में क्या है, क्या नहीं है? ठीक है? Land ceiling. I hope you know what is there in land ceiling. क्या है? ठीक है? So I'll read the history. Just pay attention. In 1946, no need to write all this. In 1946, what happened is All India Kisan Sabha, the group of farmers representing farmers all India Kisan Sabha, All India Kisan Sabha, AIKS. It still exists now also. It has its genesis in UP and then it spread to all over India. You will read about it in history, so I'm not explaining much more than that. But they are representatives of farmers all over India. It's a pressure group. Okay, GS2 pressure groups. So they demanded land ceiling. Obviously, farmers will demand land ceiling. So All India Kisan Sabha demands land ceiling. You can write this when you are reading when you are listening to the lecture later on. Okay. 1947 में an economic planning committee was made by Jawaharlal Nehru. What was made? Economic Planning Committee by Jawaharlal Nehru, and they recommended land ceiling and redistribution of land. So it is very important to understand. Writing can be done later on. This is being recorded. You can watch it again. 1949 में a Congress Agriculture Committee headed by J.C. Kumarappa. They also recommended land ceiling. Basically, everyone is recommending land ceiling. 1959 ऑल इंडिया कांग्रेस सेशन हुआ 1959 में नागपुर में, एंड दे सेड स्टेट शुड कंप्लीट लैंड सीलिंग एज सून एज पॉसिबल. State should complete implementing land ceiling as soon as possible. Now there are 2 characteristics which you need to know about land ceiling, and remember we are talking about phase 1. Okay, this is phase 1. Phase 1 was from 1947 to let's say 1972 approximately. 72 thoda idhar udhar. Phase 1, we did 2 things in phase 1, very important. We did 2 things in phase 1. What is A? States. So how do you think land ceiling was determined? मतलब limit जो होगा कौन decide करेगा? Who will decide? Center? States? Who will decide? States would decide depending on the agriculture conditions, depending on the weather, depending on the soil conditions, depending on the population conditions. If majority of them are non-farmers anyways, so you can give surplus land away to farmers. But if the rich people are also farming, then you can keep higher ceilings कि हाँ he is also farming, तो उसको क्यों ले land? He is also farming. Okay, depending on it. So Punjab, UP and all, उसमें higher ceiling होंगी because they are all farmer families. So who decided? States decided. States fixed land ceilings. So can I say different states might have fixed different land ceilings? State, you know, land is today a state subject. Today also land is a state subject. ठीक है? Now, for this they had to conduct census. Yes or no? किसके पास कितना लैंड है वो तो पता होना चाहिए. For this they conducted a land census, right? एक land census conduct किया. Who conducted? Center or states? States conducted a land census. ठीक है? And they divided the land into 2 parts. One held by owners, second held by tenants. held by owners, held by tenants. सीलिंग लगा दी गई, ठीक है. So these were the two major characteristics. Right now these tenants, tell me one thing, were they mostly farmers or non-farmers? Mostly farmers होंगे tenants. So they were treated as owners after the land ceiling. इनसे लेके we gave to landless people. So now who became the owner? New owners were landless and tenants were already owner after zamindari was abolished, after intermediaries were abolished. See, if middleman is cut, he was the owner of the land. If middleman is cut, जो tenant है वो owner बन गया अपने आप, है ना. You are staying because the system is entirely abolished. ना ऐसा नहीं कि उसके बच्चे को मिलेगा. Zamindari system as such is abolished, which means all the zamindar cease to be the owners of the land. Then who becomes owner? The tenant becomes the owner. So he is already an owner. But जो अभी owner है, the ones who are having owners land in their ownership, they are not zamindars but they are actual owners. ठीक है, उनसे लेके redistribute करके landless को दिया गया. Yes or no? The entire program, land ceiling phase 1 was an abject failure. पूरा fail हो गया. Entire program was a failure. Everything failed, okay? Not only this, everything failed. Phase 1 failed. Simple, I'll tell you. जो land ceiling थी ना, that was kept on per person basis. ठीक है कि one person cannot own more than one land. वो अपने वाइफ पे नाम कर देता था. Simple stupid reason. ठीक है. So many states had individual holdings in place of family holdings. It should be family holdings ना, कि family as a family. वो wife बच्चों के नाम कर देता था. And 10 kids, so 10 times land you can have. First, individual ceilings. And not all states, many states. See, this is done state by state basis. So some states might be smart and did that already. Individual ceilings versus family ceilings. Many states, not all states. There were 2 states which were spectacularly successful in land reforms. I'll tell why also and I'll tell which states also. Land ceilings were too high. So redistribution कैसे होगा? Land ceiling, let's say average everyone has 500 acres of land. If you keep land ceiling at 450 acres, सिर्फ 50 एकड़ ही redistribute कर पाओगे. Land ceilings were kept too high. Now realize that land ceilings were kept too high because of fear of fragmentation also. Distribute करना है तो fragmentation भी करना पड़ेगा आपको. छोटा छोटा अगर land लोगे आप, there were many land categories which were exempted from land ceiling. Concessions were given, discounts were given. Corruption was there. Big farmers, big landowners क्या करेंगे? See, they are ultra rich people जिससे land ले रहे हो. Do you think it will succeed? Do you think government will succeed? Exempt categories थी. See, whatever I am telling in the lecture, if I am not writing in this PPT, you have to write it, fill it out. ठीक है? Exempt categories. What are the other reasons? Corruption. ये तो common है, इसीलिए last में लिखने का. Whichever is very plain, vanilla, common reason. Corruption. Delays, genuine delays भी. See, always remember this was done immediately after independence. So even government machinery was not very efficient. आज भी efficient इतना नहीं है, but today we have a huge population. So that is the reason. है ना? Imagine independence मिला and then you have to implement such huge programs. People are illiterate, right? Landholders do not want to let go of their land. Government machinery is in shatters because half machinery is in Pakistan, half is in India. Just imagine the chaos for the next 10-15 years. 60-70 तक तो chaos ही चल रहा होगा ये. ठीक है? Now phase 2 started after 1972. phase 2 started after 1972. Acha, by the way, 2 states very successful, very successful. Can you guess? Actually, you might be able to guess after reading so many things. 2 states were very ultimately successful in land reforms. Kerala, second. Any guess? Why? Why they were successful? This is your homework. Why they were successful is your, see, because in exam you will have to write now why they were successful. This is your homework. The answer is given in 11th standard NCERT, Indian Economic Development. मैं answer भी बता रहा हूँ किधर दिया है. You just have to read the NCERT, you will get the answer. ठीक है? Why? Homework, standard 11 NCERT. ठीक है? I want to tell the reason, but I will not tell the reason. This was phase 1. Okay? Let us go to phase 2, post 1972. What changed in phase 2? What changed in phase 2? Was phase 1 successful? No. Which means, did the landless remain landless? Now pay attention, huh? This is very serious. Did the landless remain landless? Yes. They were frustrated with the government. Government made promise that we will redistribute land, we will give you land. आपको जमीन मिलेगी, ठीक है? You will get जमीन, you will get land. They were frustrated. What will they do now? They will be anti-government. They will start using protests. When protests are also not heard, what will they do? They will pick up weapons. Barabar? They will pick up weapons. This is very interesting. Okay? See, we read Naxalism is wrong and they are doing this. It is wrong, but we should know why they are doing this. So, pagal nahi hai wo log. They are not mad. They are not insane. There is a reason. Terrorists are also not mad. In fact, terrorists are highly educated people. I hope you know. They are chemical engineers. They make expert bombs. Nowadays, so they are expert hackers, IT experts. Why are they doing this? That is important. For us to analyze to find the solution, we need to analyze the source of the problem. है I always say in UPSC, be a doctor. Be very neutral to everything. So doctor को भी अगर पता चलता है that you have, let's say someone is having cancer, he will not say अरे आपकी तो लग गई, you are going to die. He will say कि why is the problem. He will try to diagnose whether it can be cured or not, whether surgery can be done or not. Same way में Naxalites का भी problems. GS3 internal security you will come to know. West Bengal, Naxalbari village, birthplace of Naxalites. The village name is Naxalbari. That is why they are called Naxalites. Originally they came from that village. Okay? So, rise of Naxalism. One more thing happened in this era, by this time, Green Revolution happened. Okay, these all happened during phase 2. Green Revolution happened. What do you think will happen to the land ceiling? Land ceiling was reduced because per acre you are getting more crop now. You needed earlier bigger land because आपको ज़्यादा crop करना था, but now इतने में भी you are getting more crops. So land ceiling was reduced, which is a good thing, yes or no? Because earlier we saw इतना high land ceiling रखा है. Because of green revolution, land ceiling was reduced. Lands were redistributed based on caste basis, SC, ST. Now it is a good thing or bad thing that you should guess, but I think it's a good thing because the situation of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes were miserable. Abhi bhi it is miserable in many parts of the country, but imagine tabhi to, tabhi to people were having lot of bias. Now also we see untouchability cases in India in 21st century हो रहा है. तो फिर तभी तो caste based redistribution हुआ. I will write something which you have to cover in polity. ठीक है, I will write something which you have to cover in polity. 34th Amendment Act 1974, Article 31B. You have to read about this in polity. It is there in Lakshmikant. So please read about this in polity. Okay, that is also your homework. So by the time you read this, you already know what is this. By the time you get this lecture, you already know what is this. What do you think? Was phase 2 successful? No. Phase 2 was also not successful. Why? It is so difficult to achieve success in India, na? Be it exam, be it sports, be it career, बहुत difficult है ना? Why we failed? See, corruption and all I am not writing because those are common reasons. Which state has the maximum agricultural land? UP. Big state and agricultural state है वो. Alluvial soil, fertile, सब कुछ है. ठीक है? Laws in UP were very liberal. So that is why overall India में land ceiling could not be implemented because majority of the land is in UP. West Kerala इतना सा state है वो, even if it is successful, overall India में कुछ फर्क पड़ने वाला है ज़्यादा नहीं. So liberal laws in UP is the one of the major reasons. ठीक है? Liberal laws in UP, one of the major reason. Delays and all I am not writing. Corruption, political agenda I am not writing. Strong lobbying by rich farmers. है ना, rich farmers who already held land, they did not want to give because green revolution हो रहा है. They did not want to part with half their land. Now they are earning double on their land. Why will they halve their land? So lobbying by rich farmers. And very important reason I'll tell you. Third reason is very important. Which topic are we doing? Land ceiling. अभी तक हम land ceiling में. Then we'll go to tenancy reforms. ठीक है? Third reason very important. What happened in 1991? LPG reforms. Focus shifted from agriculture to services and industries. Fail ही होगा फिर. 1991 reforms. Do you realize the level of analysis we are doing here? Naxalism से लेके 1991, everything is covered here. Focus. This is the beauty of our study, UPSC study. Constitutional articles are also here. Caste is also here. Naxalism is also here. Economics is also here. UP is also here. UP is everywhere. No? बराबर, because we needed industry, export, agri का क्या हो गया? Slow down. ठीक है? So I hope you are able to understand zamindari intermediary system which was abolished. That is covered in history, so please cover it there. Land ceiling is covered here very nicely. I hope you are able to get it. Yes or no? Now we go to tenancy reforms. क्या लगता है? What safeguards does owner require? Right from damage, protection or damage to property. कोई damage कर दिया तो owner का नुकसान होगा. When the lease gets over, the tenant should vacate the property. ठीक है? proper payment of rent on time, no defaults, or if default is there then adjustment होना चाहिए. Tenant का क्या rights होना चाहिए? What do you think tenant rights होना चाहिए? Should not be exploited. Rent changes should not be arbitrary. It should be pre-decided. Contract should be there कि rent change होगा. Owner should not invade the privacy of the tenant. कभी भी रात को 12 बजे आ गया. Imagine two girls are staying on rent and owner came रात को 12 o'clock को just to check flat and just to check क्या रे I want to check the AC. Not allowed. ठीक है. और क्या? Owner should not evict the tenant before the lease expires unless he has any particular reason to do so. ठीक है. Tenant should not engage in any criminal activity, illegal activity on the premises of the owner. Very obvious है. ठीक है. Same thing है. Tenancy reforms. Let us study tenancy reforms. And now we are already arrived at 1991. ठीक है. In post-independence, you will learn about Bhudan and Gramdan movements. Okay, those happened in post-independence. So read about them. Post-independence. यहाँ लिख दूँगा मैं. I will write here. What you have to read about is. See, I'll tell you. You have to read about. British के time पे you have to read about peasant movements for land. Peasant movements, caste agitations. For land, related to land, not related to anything else. Peasant movements, caste agitations, any other movements related to land, land movements, land related movements in British India, बहुत है ना history में तो uprisings, rebellions, everything, land related rebellions. Then next you have to read about वो पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस में आ जाता है ना, दैट इज व्हाई भूदान एंड ग्रामदान मूवमेंट्स, very interesting, read about them. So when you read about them, that makes your land reforms a 360 oriented topic. So question चाहे GS1 में आए, GS2 में आए, GS3 में, we are prepared. If it comes in GS3, then write economic aspects and agriculture aspects more. If it comes in GS2, write caste based, social justice based aspects more. If it comes under GS1, write history aspects more. Simple. Next we are at what topic we are going to cover now? Tenancy reforms. It's very obvious. Tenancy reforms. What are we trying to do? Tell me that. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to give more land to farmers or not? We are trying to give more land to. From whom? Who are owners? Are owners farmers or not? Mostly they are not. Hence, if they are farmers, then कोई problem नहीं है. Are you agreeing? See, if they have huge land, chalo, one person is owning entire UP, but if he is farming and if he is giving stock to government and helping people, क्या problem है? 100 हो, 1 हो, 100 हो. Right? But the thing was that owner was not doing anything with his land. He was just giving out on rent. To whom? To landless laborer. तो उससे अच्छा उसको land दे दो. He is working on the land. So do you think right to lend? So for example, government is having tenancy reforms. So will government try to restrict his right to lend or not? Yes. Will government try to restrict his right to farm on the land or not? No. Are you getting this? So first tenancy reform was right to lease was restricted. Restricted means under certain circumstances you can do. ऐसा नहीं कि abolished, but right to lease was restricted. Owner's right to lease was restricted. Are you getting this? Why right to lease was restricted? Because we wanted his land and we will make sharecroppers the owners. We will make tenants the owners. We will make landless laborers the owners. Because when you become the owner and when you don't do anything else apart from agriculture, वो मेरा खुद का है. So you invest your work. But these rich people, these give on rent because they don't have any knowledge about agriculture. They just give on rent and they earn money. But the one who is working there, what does he think? I am getting meager salary. I am earning 10 crores, sorry, I am growing 10 crores worth of crops for my landowner. He is giving me only 5,000 rupees per month as rent. But if I get the land, this 10 crores can be mine. And I am doing mehnat, na? Ultimately, mehnat kaun kar raha hai? He is doing. Right to lease restricted. Right to farm encouraged. बराबर. Right to cultivate. What else? Right against eviction and high rent tenants को बेसिक है. सो रेंट सिक्योरिटी भी हो गया, राइट. रेंट सिक्योरिटी डन. राइट अगेंस्ट eviction. This eviction is baseless and illegal eviction. अगर लीगली वो लैंडलेस लेबरर्स ने ड्रग्स लेके वहां पे कुछ किया, बॉम्ब वॉम्ब फोड़ा, तो ऑब्वियसली यू कैन एविक्ट. राइट अगेंस्ट एविक्शन, रेंट सिक्योरिटी, राइट अगेंस्ट एविक्शन एंड हाई रेंट. टेनेंट राइट्स, tenant ownership rights. So when land was redistributed, we gave ownership rights to tenant. So tenant ownership rights. These were the major tenancy reforms, and we are trying to do these reforms even today also. Have you heard about real estate RERA? Have you heard about Maharera, RERA? Flats, when buildings are sold, flats are sold. RERA was enacted in 2016, Real Estate Regulatory Authority, so that builders don't cheat the buyers and buyers don't cheat the builders. Right? So even that will come. We'll cover RERA also brief में. ठीक है? Now, what do you think are the limitations to this tenancy reforms? अगर if you want to circumvent these reforms, तो क्या होगा? Land agreement, rent agreements were not written ना, oral थे. You cannot prove anything. Oral agreements, ठीक है? Next what? The renting business was pushed underground. Underground means government को बताएंगे ही नहीं rent पे दिया है. Government landholders will tell government, sir, I am only tilling. Sir, मेरा भाई है वो sir. वो उसका actually landless laborer होगा. He will tell, sir, he is my brother. Sir, he is fairer, I am darker, but वो छोड़ दो. He is different, but he is my brother. ठीक है? Right? Do you think SC/ST women will benefit from this? No, because rich people. So I'm not writing anything there because you obvious है what can go wrong, right? So for example, if you are a tenant, how can your landowner tell you to skip registration? कि सर बाद में करते हैं, डिले करते हैं, सर आई एम आउट ऑफ कंट्री व्हेन आई विल कम, यू स्टे ना, है ना? देन फिर पहले बोलेंगे कि इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल आई विल पे, एंड देन दे विल से कि सर इट वाज सेपरेट. Oral agreement, you cannot prove anything. See, oral agreements are absolutely valid in India. In the Indian Contract Act 1872, oral agreements are absolutely valid. But how to prove? That is the problem. Not only in India, everywhere oral agreements are valid. Tell me the positives of land reforms. Why are we doing land reforms? What are the positives of land reforms? Social transformation, agricultural transformation, food security, ownership rights, tenancy reforms, etc. What are the negatives? These are obvious, that is why I'm not writing. What are the negatives? More land grabbing by rich people. Land is a state subject, so conflict between whom? Center and states. Outdated land records is a problem, is it not? Outdated land records. Bureaucracy, corruption, delays. Panchayat is powerless, yes or no? Naxalism is also a disadvantage. Because of failure of land reforms, we have Naxalism now. बराबर? ठीक है? So let us write the negatives of land reforms. Positives तो बहुत अच्छे हमारे पास. Negatives लिखते हैं. Negatives of land reforms, not of tenancy reforms. Negatives of land reforms. Land grabbing, Naxalism, center state conflicts. Then what did we discuss? Center state conflicts, outdated land records, है ना? लैंड रिकॉर्ड 1950 का है, अरे बट नाउ उसके बाद 4 ओनर आके गए. आउटडेटेड लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स. व्हाट एल्स? What else? Lack of budget, corruption, delays. ठीक है? These are the negatives. ऐसा नहीं है कि positives नहीं है, but positives are very easy to explain. Objectives क्या थे? Tenancy reforms. You can write positive. Tenancy reforms हो गए. So many tenancy reforms happened. Positives. Writing positives is very easy. Writing negatives is a bit difficult. Positives तो जो intention है, objective है, that only you have to write. ठीक है? Now comes. We are in 2006 now. Very, 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 very important. 2006. क्या होगा 2006 में? What are the land reforms that happened in 2006? There is an act which is very important in social justice. So I am going to write the name here. I am going to discuss it in brief, but it will be covered in social justice, also as relevant in land reforms. It is the Recognition of Forest Rights Act. So apart from land reforms, you know, scheduled tribes mostly, or tribal people mostly, prefer forests because historically they have preferred forests. You know, they were called as I don't recollect the word. Britishers used to call them a particular word which meant outsiders. ठीक है? In ancient and medieval history, there was another word for these forest dwellers, and Britishers also used to call them something very different. They were forest. They have always remained or stayed in forest, and they have their own civilization there. They have their own rights and practices there, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. Who is to say that we live in a better society and they are not living in a better society? If they are dying of diseases and all, then yes, we have modern science has done it better. We cure diseases and all, but we also have our own problems, na? Stress, anger, hypertension, सब कुछ हमारे पास है problem. They don't have those problems. Do you know even now in Nicobar Islands, Andaman Nicobar Islands, there are some tribes which are untouched by the world. ठीक है? Read about Sentinel Island, Sentinelese. Those who try to go there are killed by the tribes. Those who try to visit there, it is not allowed to visit, but if you try, you know, if you bribe people and if you try to visit, they are killed. Last to last year, one American, I think he was American, but someone from the West, he went to that island with a camera and he bribed the boat wala. It is illegal, but he bribed the people and he bribed the boatman and he went there and his body was found. The tribes killed them. And good now, why are you encroaching? Who are you to encroach? If है ना, but if they genuinely need our help, then they will approach us. Healthcare चाहिए, education चाहिए, yes. It is very unfortunate. You know, you can watch these tribal videos on YouTube, and it is very disheartening. The way they live, the way we treat them. So, you know, when we think tribals, we think, यारे ये लोग fire के around नाचते होंगे. You know how they are portrayed in movies and cartoons. It's very bad. They might be doing it, but then don't make it stereotypical, na? That is very bad. So, to grant them forest, so we made a law to grant them forest rights. कि आपका right है, you go in forest, whatever tree पे उगता है, you collect it, you sell it if you want, you earn money from your livelihood in forest. समझा? So पहले land sealing किसके लिए था? To give land to whom? Landless laborers, farmers. Now we are giving rights in forest. See, we cannot give forest land now. वो तो forest land है. You cannot own a forest. It's a natural resource. It's a government property. But you give rights to use the forest to tribals and no one else. समझा? That is Forest Rights Act. But normally, do you give this to general category people? No, you give it to tribes, mainly tribes. So the act is Forest Rights Act 2006, but the name of the act is something different. Name of the act is something different. ये तो ठीक है. Name of the act is Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes and Other Forest Dwellers Rights to Forest Rights Act 2006. ऐसे होता है. scheduled tribes, sorry, not scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers. यहाँ से शुरू करना पड़ेगा ना. Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers, Forest Rights Act 2006. This gave them rights over forest produce. समझा? This gave them rights over forest produce. Whatever you get. What do you get in forest? Fruits. What else can you get in forest? Flowers, fruits. What else? Forest में tree. So they have restricted rights with respect to wood because वो काटने लग गए तो खत्म हो जाएगा. Other than that, what do you get? Rubber. What else? Bamboo. What else? Pan. Do you know pan? What else? Supari. Areca nut. It is called as areca nut. Tendu leaves. Okay. So many things forest gives us. They have absolute right on that. They can collect, they can sell, they can earn their livelihood also. You know, even in your environment, you will learn a lot of acts. Wildlife Protection Act, Conservation of Environment Act, Biological Diversity Act. In almost every act, there are exceptions made for scheduled tribes. Because normally, see, wildlife conservation, mein what do? You stop people from going into wildlife areas. They have the rights. Because they have a different connection with animals also. No? They understand animals, animals understand them. They live differently. It is fine. It's absolutely fine if you live differently. Nowadays there is increasing awareness about trans community in India also, transgenders, right? So in Bangalore there are many such restaurants where waiters are transgenders, many restaurants, and people are very calm about it. People are very comfortable about it. But here in even in Mumbai and Delhi, जैसे metro cities में people are prejudiced, right? They are scared, prejudiced, कि अरे श्राप दे दिया तो. They are normal human beings. ठीक है? हाँ, they might have magic powers or not, that is debatable. But if you treat them normally, they will treat you normally. है ना? If you do something to annoy them, then they will be annoyed. वो तो obvious है, वो तो normal इंसान भी होगा. So similarly, tribes are also, they should be given rights and they should be considered as normal only. ठीक है? So this act you will read in social justice, so आ ही जाएगा. This act was also asked in GS2 in 2-3 years back. ठीक है? This act was asked in GS2. कि how are scheduled tribes protected in India? Name 2 acts. ऐसा बोला था. So this was one of the act, and another act is Prevention of Untouchability Act. तो उसमें भी वो है. Then there is another act, वो Prevention of Exploitation, Discrimination Against Scheduled Tribes Act. ऐसे बहुत सारे acts हैं. So we have these major acts, right? So this act was made to give land reforms. So land reforms ही है ये sort of, because you are giving them rights, access to the land, forest land, and you are giving them. Next act is very, very, very important. That came in 2013. Very important. Have you seen this act? पूरा लिखने के बाद बताना. ये सब बड़े-बड़े act हैं. खत्म नहीं हुआ है. ये नाम है एक्ट का. Have we seen this act anywhere? right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, rehabilitation and not resettlement. Act 2000. Have you seen this act anywhere? Where? 2013 question number we had seen. This question was asked. Remember I told you 2014 mein I told you question paper 2014, Act 2013 with effect from 1st Jan 2014, current affairs. This act, right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, rehabilitation, resettlement. नाम में पता चल जाएगा क्या है. See, you want to construct a bullet train from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. Very good intention. People will benefit. Don't you think people have land in between? Don't you think track जहाँ से जाएगा उनका घर है उधर? Don't you think people are staying there? Don't you think there are industries on the way? Don't you think there are farms on the way? क्या करेंगे? उनके ऊपर से लेके जाएंगे मेट्रो और बुलेट ट्रेन, नीचे से आज ऐसे टर्न मार के नहीं. यू विल गिव देम कॉम्पेंसेशन, यू विल टेक देयर लैंड. आप उनका लैंड हड़प लोगे, ठीक है. गवर्नमेंट विल टेक योर लैंड, government will give you fair compensation, not only the cost of land but also the cost of rehabilitating your business. See, you are a farmer, you will tell me you gave me compensation for acquisition of land value you gave me, but what about my other business, what about my loss of livelihood? समझा? Loss of business. So the compensation should be what? Fair. Calculation should be what? Transparent. In land acquisition is a big topic. Okay, not for UPSC but overall in government policy making, land acquisition is a big topic. So land acquisition में transparency होना चाहिए. Do you agree with this? What do you mean by rehabilitation? What do you mean to rehabilitate? उनको वापस to give them a new place to live, give them a new occupation, let's say. And resettlement is also similar. उनको settle करवाना वापस. So what would you prefer? If your land is acquired by the government, what would you prefer? A place of work or place of home near to your earlier place or somewhere far? Near to your earlier. So those are all rules that are mentioned in this act. So this is also another step in land reforms. Yes or no? This is land reforms. For infrastructure, you are displacing people and it is inevitable. वो होने वाला है. Currently, where you live, don't you think 50 years ago some other people used to live, they were displaced, building was constructed? ठीक है, होने वाला. Unfortunately, the thing is कि poor people are more prone to displacement. That is a very unfortunate thing, है ना? Because rich people buy homes or buy business places in such places which are proper commercial districts and proper residential places, which are already developed. तो वहाँ पे और कुछ नया नहीं आएगा. नया कहाँ आएगा? Where there is lesser development, but the cost is low, so poor people can afford that, homes and all that. But the thing is, tomorrow when that will be developed, they will be displaced again. Poverty is very bad, not only in India, anywhere. Poverty is, puts unnecessary burden on the people. I'll tell you some few clauses which are there. Land value 1 lakh hai. If you are displacing or if you are acquiring land in rural areas, if you are displacing land in or acquiring land in rural areas, you have to give 4 times the value of land to the person. In urban areas, it is 2 times. Urban वैसे ही महंगा है बहुत. ठीक है, just a few these things, few provisions. This act was amended in 2015. This act was amended in 2015. Amendment Act 2015. Okay, same act है, सिर्फ नाम same है. So this act also comes in news, keeps on coming in news. But I would suggest that you read about this act. सिर्फ Google करो, Wikipedia पढ़ लो, read 2 pages on this act, read 2 articles on this act, you will come to know क्या है. Remember I had shown you the summary of, which summary I had shown you? Kelkar Committee summary on PPP, I had showed you. Remember we had seen, we went on the internet and we saw the summary. I went to a website called PRS, right? So all these acts ka summary and all you will get on PRS India website, okay? So just search PRS India and then this act ka naam and you will find the summary. This is a source which I use to access summaries of acts or summaries of amendment acts or summaries of recommendation, because asli mein the act read karke koi there is no use. The bare act you should never read, and the summary the recommendations of any committee are 50 60 100 200 pages, utna time nahi hai. So you should always read the summary of these things which are bulky in nature. So always use PRS India. Okay, this act will separately take 2 more lectures. So hence I gave you the gist of this act. It is used for compensation, payment and acquisition. Okay. Now very important, very important. See the name, you will come to know. क्या है इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव? लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स मॉडर्नाइजेशन. ओल्ड लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स मॉडर्नाइज मींस क्या करोगे आप? वन यू विल अपडेट, सेकंड व्हाट यू विल डू, यू विल डिजिटाइज इट. सब पहले हार्ड कॉपी में, यू विल डिजिटाइज इट. डिजिटाइजेशन इज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Nowadays everything is digital. If you go to register a property, if you buy a new home, you have to go to the registrar office. They will click your photo, they will take your thumbprint, they will use your Aadhaar card, done registration. No hard copy involved. Okay, nowadays everything is online. ठीक है. This was started somewhere around 2010 to 2015 के बीच में. Then came RERA, Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Basically, this is to avoid black market transactions. So earlier you must have heard property transactions happen in black market only, black cash and all is used. So this is where every property, every flat, everything, every shop which is sold has to be registered with government before selling. And once you complete the sale, uska registration number hoga, then only you can buy. So it is like hallmarking of gold jewelry basically. So if a flat is RERA registered, you can buy, you will not have any problems. If the flat does not have RERA, then it means there is something shady. So you know when a builder constructs a building, usko electricity lagane ke liye permit lagta hai. He needs water supply permit, he needs occupation permit. So assessors come and assess the building ki earthquake aayega to what will be the impact, and then they give the certificate ki yes, you can sell your flats to people and people can come and stay here. Unless that certificate is obtained, that is called as OC, occupation certificate. Unless that certificate is obtained, you cannot stay there. So people staying without OC, or sometimes if it is in process, then 1 or 2 months you can stay and then you can get the OC. But without those certificates, there is no water, there is no right to stay, etc. Now what has happened is those certificates will be given only when you register with RERA. समझा कितना वो कर दिया है? Many black money transactions are avoided because of RERA. So this is also land reforms. Anything relating to real estate, land, agricultural land, urban land, rural land, wherever you see the word land in newspaper or any other website, any other document, think about whether it applies or whether it is suitable or whether you find it apt to include in your land reforms notes or not. Always remember that. Okay? One more thing. Even today there is a problem of landless laborers, yes or no? There are many landless laborers. In fact, अभी तो इतना fragment हो गया land कि most people take it on rent only. They are landless, right? So agriculture is under which list? State list, central list, union list? Sorry, state list, concurrent list, union list? State list. Agriculture is under state list. Land is also under state list. So anything related to land, anything related to agriculture is under state list. Center can give advice, center can give model acts, yes or no? Remember model act? So there is model agriculture land leasing act also which is there. Okay? This is to protect the rights of tenants and owners, model agriculture land lease. Actually, it is not agriculture, it is overall. Model Land Leasing Act. It is overall, not only agriculture. I think it is 2018, but I'm not sure, so I'm not writing the date here. These are all old current affairs. They keep on coming every year, something happens. What is the biggest land reform you can think? Digitization. Always remember, digitization is the biggest. क्या है ये? Digitization is the biggest land reform you can think about. Biggest land reform. Is it cool? So overall, the land reforms process has been continuously going. But now I think you are understanding what do you mean by land reforms. Anything relating to land use, staying ho, business ho, farming ho, anything related to land use is land reforms. Anything related to land use. For example, if you allocate certain space only for manufacturing industries, it is also land reform. है ना? If you introduce something to protect the rights of owners of land or tenants of land, that is also land reform. It's a very broad thing. So wherever you read land reforms. The only thing is you should note down examples. For example, if government of, let's say, Gujarat has kept certain area for only for manufacturers, so you should know that government ne ye city ka this part is kept. So that is land reforms. That makes your answer bit more specific. Or kuch nahi. Did you understand? That concludes our topic on land reforms. Okay. Do you know land monetize? What do you mean by asset monetization by the government? Selling of assets or renting of assets. खाली land पड़ा है government के पास, rent पे दे दिया और sold. Also land reforms. So what is the policy followed by Ministry of Defence or Ministry of Railways for liquidating the land or leasing the land? That will also fall under land reforms. Always keep that in mind. Is this understood very clearly? Can I say कि more 95-99% our syllabus is done? Okay, one more lecture, one or two more lectures maximum, and we will be through the syllabus. So I hope you have enjoyed this land reforms in India, and I hope you realize that lot of it is based on economic survey and lot of it is based on current affairs, which you have to cover. The only thing is you have to know the syllabus points and you have to be alert when you read newspapers. These all things I have not taken it from anywhere except newspapers. My all notes, my all sources are on newspapers. And see, when I started preparing in 2016-17, that time economics books did not have these chapters. Nowadays, you might find these chapters in books itself. I think it is there nowadays. Ramesh Singh Sriram mein to hai hai, land reforms wala. In my days, these chapters were not there. Okay? So, my notes or my study has been solely based on newspapers. Analysis has been solely based on newspapers. This 360-degree coverage, history part of it, post-independence part of it, polity part of it, and economic and agriculture part of it. This is also obviously many people must have thought about it, but this is not taken by me from books or from anywhere else. I had done this self-study in my first attempt. I had done it in this manner. And I think this is why I get good marks in GS3. Because I write everything. It is a holistic topic, right? So I hope this has been useful to you. For example, storage ke liye we are keeping separate land ready for storage, farmer storage and all. Land reforms. You can quote that. It is land reforms. Anything related to land is land reforms. Yes or no? Okay? So we'll continue in the next lecture. Probably the last or the second last lecture. And we'll do with planning. We'll continue with planning and some history. We'll do 1991 reforms. वो सब बाकी है. Then we'll touch upon inclusive growth for 10 minutes and we'll touch upon industrial policy for 15 minutes. That will conclude our entire all the syllabus points अंदर बाहर से खोद के खत्म. Right? So first 10 point GS3 I don't want any complaints. बाकी का I don't care. Right? Can we recollect what is point number 7 of GS3? Land reforms in India. Right? Can we recollect what is point number 3 of GS3? Government budgeting. Right? Keep on revising the syllabus. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next lecture.